Hi class, we are doing lesson 6.2 today on translating simple expressions. Translating expressions from words to math will help you solve word problems in the future. The following in this box is a list of words that mean the operations to add, subtract, multiply, or divide. So looking at this box in the addition, we have the words add, plus, increase, more, augment, and sum. All of those words mean to add. We'll specifically talk more about sum when we get to the back side of this note sheet. So coming back to that word. The words that mean subtract are take away, minus, less, less than, from, decrease, diminish, and difference. The words that mean multiply are times, of, twice, squared, cubed, by, and product. This word twice really just means you are multiplying by 2. So this really is the same thing as saying multiplying by 2. Squared means if you have something, I'm just going to give you an example right now, like 3 squared. It means 3 times 3. Cubed is very similar to squared. If I had 3 to the 3rd power, that would mean 3 times 3 times 3. Okay, the words that mean the same as divide are split into, divide by, break into, half, and quotient. And half is the same. It's like saying divide by 2, which actually, another way to write that is like multiplying by 1/2. And I will talk about that one in a little bit. All right, so taking a look at example 1, it says translate the words into math. So we have C split into 4. That means we are taking whatever number C is, we don't know what number that is, and split into. If I were to take a look at my chart up here, okay, and find the word split into, I see that it is right here. So that means that C is divided by 4, because split into means the same thing as divide. If I look at letter B, we have the letter Q added to 2. Added means just plus, so Q plus 2. 2 times Z, that just means times. So you can write times in a couple of different ways. You can write 2 times Z this way, or you can write it 2 times Z. Another way you could write it is 2, and then you could put parentheses around Z. And actually, oftentimes we also use this symbol right here, like this asterisk thing, to mean times as well. So there's a few different ways that you can write 2 times Z. T decreased by 9. So we're taking T and decreased. If I were to find it up in my chart, decreased is right here under subtraction, so that means minus 9. Okay, I'm going to scroll down a little bit, so on this screen you won't be able to see this box in full picture. We have 5 divided by G. So again, divide is just simply divide. And then we have P minus 4. And 3 increased by K. If I'm not sure what increased means, I can go back up to my box, look through each one of these different sections until you find the word increase, which is right here. Increase, it means addition. So that would be like 3 plus K. And 8 multiplied by X. So we can have 8 times X. Similar to in letter C up here, there are multiple ways that we can write multiplied by. I'm just going to leave it at this one way. But again, you can write it different ways, whichever one you prefer. All right, I am going to talk right now about a couple of different ones, like And I know that this is not on your note sheet, and that's okay. So let's say we had x cubed. All right, well, up at the top I mentioned that that the word cubed means just x to the third power. So that is the same thing as saying x times x times x. That's what cubed means, to the third power. What if we had half of x? All right, so this is now a separate problem. Half of x really just means you're taking x and you're splitting it into 2. You're dividing it by 2. Another way that we could write that is half of, we remember that of means multiplication, so 1/2 times x. Either one of those two ways that you write half of x is the same, and either one of those two ways would be okay. Okay, if we take a look at the back of our notes, it says, notice that the words in bold, sum is the answer to addition problem. Difference is the answer to subtraction problem. When you see the words sum or difference, you must put parentheses around those expressions, as those words mean to find the answer first. So I'm going to scroll back up to the top in this box. Here we have the word sum, and it is in bold, and it has parentheses around it. And difference is in bold, and it also has parentheses around it. That's what I'm talking about right now, okay? Anytime we see that word sum, we're going to try to do that thing first. And one thing that we can show that you do it first is if you think about PEMDAS. Okay, and from left to right. P is one of our first things that we do, so that's why we would put that sum in difference in parentheses. Okay, so let's actually try some of this. I'm going to jump down to this box right here, this red box, and it says the sum of A and B. So that means A plus B, and I'm even going to put parentheses around that. Now I know that there is nothing else in that problem, but it's just a good habit to get into. And the difference of A and B, this second bullet point, I'm going to put parentheses around that too to show, okay, let's do that first. Okay, product, going back up here, product is the answer to multiplication, and quotient is the answer to division problems. Since multiplication and division are done first in order of operations, I'm talking about before addition and subtraction, they do not need parentheses. So just follow these examples to help you. So if I look at this red box again, product of A and B is right here, A times B. I'm showing you that there's another way to write it, A times B with a dot, or in using parentheses, A times B. Now, it doesn't hurt. You can still put parentheses around it just like you did with addition, the sum and difference, but you don't necessarily need it. Similarly for quotient, we could write it as A divided by B, or we could write it looking like a fraction, A over B. Both of those mean division. And similar, we could put parentheses around here. That is okay, but we don't have to. Okay, so what does this look like in practice? Example 2 says, translate the words into math. So we have the sum of x and 4. Sum means addition. So that's like saying x plus 4. Now, we would be done. That's all you have to write. But in the future, we're going to have more complex problems. And so I'm going to encourage you to put parentheses around this. It is not a requirement, but it will help you in the future when we have more complex problems. Okay, difference. Difference means subtraction. So it says the difference of 7 and y, so we have 7 minus y. The product of -2 and p. Product means multiplication. So I have -2 times p. Remember that there is multiple ways that you could write this. So you could also write -2p. You could also write -2, put p in parentheses, or you could write -2 in parentheses and p in parentheses. Any of those ways are okay. Oh, and there's one more, -2 and p. I don't care which way you write it, whichever one you prefer. Letter D, it says the quotient of n and 3. Quotient means division. So we have n divided by 3. Or I mentioned above another way you could write that is n over 3. Means the same thing. The sum of x and 7, sum means addition. So x plus 7, and just to kind of get us in that habit, we're going to put parentheses around it. And the quotient. Quotient means division. So we have n divided by 4. All right, that is our lesson for today, lesson 6.2. Thanks for joining me, and see you next time.